Hello and welcome to our first episode of CIO Today, brought to you by Boomi and hosted by me, Brad Howarth. Join us as we chat to CIOs and technology leaders and learn how they adapt to the challenges involved in driving innovation and transformation within their organisation. In today's episode, we'll be covering the pursuit of digital experience, or DX as it's often called. Now, the Australian Red Cross is one organisation that is embarked on this journey. So to discuss its progress towards the ultimate digital experience, we're joined by Veronica Frost, CIO at the Australian Red Cross. Veronica, welcome to the program.
Hi, Brad. Thanks for having me.
Now, as a not-for-profit, I would imagine that you have a lot of different issues competing for your attention at any given moment in time. When it comes to digital experience then, what are the priorities that you're directing your attention to now?
We have to constantly balance our strategic priorities, and there's always a lot going on. So if it's responding to the bushfires that happened earlier in the year, at the same time we had to start delivering the digital platforms that will eventually underpin and support those efforts. So currently our priority is twofold. One, we need to support the psychological first aid and social connection calls during COVID-19. We're also implementing this digital experience platform. So that will involve integrations of our core systems, and we'll be going live with our first MVP for our regular givers in early August.
Red Cross is a very complicated organisation. You help a lot of people, you have a large number of staff, there are a lot of stakeholders that you work with. You have a very large donor network that you're involved in. So when it comes to digital experience then, who are you looking to provide a good experience to?
That's a really good question. As a person, you can have multiple touch points with Red Cross. So, for example, depending on your life journey, you could start off as a client with us. And down the track, you may want to volunteer or donate some money, and you could also have an alternate touch point. You could be an employee or you could be a member. So we are trying to cover all those different types of personas.
Now, there are a lot of different personas that you need to work with there. So what role does technology play then in helping you to deliver a unified experience? Because even though we might see many different reasons for interacting with you, we're still all individuals, regardless of the roles that we play.
The key for us is really in the integration of our systems and data. So, for instance, as you've mentioned, from a person's perspective, you have one relationship with the organisation, and the organisation should understand the different, interactions that you have. So, having that seamless customer experience where you enter into the organisation from a digital portal, for instance, and you actually can understand all the different interactions you've had, all the different types of transactions, and the impact is really important, so it's seamless.
So what would that look like then from a person's perspective once you move past your minimum viable product and start getting into the meat of this work? What is that experience going to be?
Following on that concept of multiple touch points, we want people to have a relationship and one relationship with Red Cross. So the platform will enable our people to interact and choose how they engage with Red Cross, and also understand the impact that they're having. So that's really important from a donor and a volunteer perspective. And from a client perspective, it's being able to contact us, seek support, and schedule that support as well. And we're still really trying to understand what sort of digital services we will deliver for our Australian programs.
Looking at it holistically then, what would this actually mean for Red Cross to be able to deliver this improved experience to those stakeholders?
So number one, it's better engagement, and what that really means is for us to have a better understanding of the people that interact with us. We want to be able to engage and communicate with our supporter base, but we want to do it in a way that's meaningful for them. In return, this will help fund and deliver services that are needed for the community. The other thing, on the flip side, is the increased efficiency that we'll gain. So with a connected environment and a connected systems, this will actually remove a lot of the manual processes and that we have in our organisation at the moment, and actually enable some automation. So what that means practically to the people that we serve is that more of the donor dollar will go towards meeting the needs of our clients.
Right. So, I mean, it really is meeting up to the expectations, I guess, that donors would have of you, that money is getting to where it needs to go to.
Absolutely.
So, well, clearly very important work, but I mean, this is a huge task that you're talking about here. So what have been some of the challenges that you've had to overcome to get to where you are? And what further challenges lie in wait?
So I think it's twofold. From a I guess, technology perspective, we've had to develop a technical roadmap to support the organisation to deliver on its digital ambition. And we were starting basically from a blank slate at that time. So, of course, we've got a lot of technology, but how do we combine that, or what do we need to replace in order to enable that? So there's a lot of moving parts, and it requires quite a bit of integration. So, and the second part really is around how we went about collaborating and working with the organisation to actually design the digital experience platform.
Now, I can imagine that if you're like a lot of other organisations, you can have multiple different systems holding data, possibly holding data about the same people, but in different systems. So how are you going about connecting up all of those systems, and particularly how are you going about connecting up the data that they hold?
So we partnered with Dell Boomi to help us design and deliver on our integration framework and platform. This is a new capability for us, and we needed experts in the room to help us with the architecture, the design, and also the delivery. So we've been really pleased with how they have supported us to date.
So what sort of capability has Boomi delivered for you?
So Boomi has helped us to integrate our core systems, and this has been a major challenge for us at Red Cross. So whether it's through standard integration or through APIs, we now will have the capability in not only to integrate internal systems, but also looking at software as a service products and any partners that we may need to integrate with. So it's a real leap forward for us.
Right. Now, there's a lot of work to be done. How are you going about dealing with the change management aspects of a project like this?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest things that I've learned is that this is a whole of organisation shift. It requires us to take a real people-centred approach to our problem solving. And when you take the focus away from your individual business units or silos and understand what you're actually solving for, it makes the collaboration process, the design process and the conversations just that much more focused and positive. So we're all sort of working together. So I guess that's probably the biggest learning. And although that might it sounds simple, it's actually taken us a bit to get to that point. So it's really getting that alignment with your business stakeholders.
The technology is usually implemented to benefit people. So how will this make a difference to the lives of the staff members at Red Cross?
So that's right. I think that's what's very different about these digital experience programs. It isn't an IT project. This is a business transformation program, and really the lens that we look at the solutions is very much people-centred. So whether it is in the service of improving the experience of the person that is interacting with us, it's also helping frontline staff to remove manual, processes and automate where possible, so that experience for the customer is better. So that way staff can spend their time on more value-add activities. So
what advice would you give to CIOs at other not-for-profits then when it comes to embarking on this GX journey?
So I think the first thing that CIOs need to ensure that they have is alignment with their executive or organisation. This is not an IT project or program, it's a business transformation. So partnering with the business is really important. The other thing is being masters of your data. So a seamless experience for the people you're interacting with really starts with integrated systems and data sets. The other thing that I've learnt through this is I don't have all the answers, so So I'm dealing with new technical capability and introducing that to my team. So make sure you pick a good technology partner that understands your business and can help you design and implement.
Now, in this segment, we like to step outside the workplace and get to know our interviewees a little bit better. Veronica, we've been spending a lot of time talking about business transformation. What about personal transformation? What journey have you been on?
So I've been on a learning to art journey for the last 18 months. Prior to the restrictions, I was attending art classes every Saturday. It's a really intense method. You're thrown in with beginners and professional artists alike, and you either sink or swim. So once I found my feet, I found the classes quite meditative and a good way to reset my mind at the end of the stressful week, which I'm pretty sure most CIOs have.
Now, if we look at the life of a CIO, it's often around process and mathematics and numbers and equations and coding and everything else. More of what we'd call a science, but yet you're talking about art here. Is the art that you're learning starting to implement the way that you go about your professional life?
Well, there's one thing that I've actually learnt in my art journey is that there's a systematic process for everything, right? So art classes teach you to actually see. You have a problem in front of you, you need to understand it and actually translate a complex 3D form and simplify it into a 2D plane. So this is similar how you would have to solve any sort of business problem. You need to see and understand the problem from multiple perspectives. When you paint and draw, you spend quite a bit of time studying your subject before you actually put any pen or pencil to paper. You need to understand the form. You need to understand the problem. In IT, you try to simplify the solution through your architecture and your solutions design. In art, that's called composition and blocking out. And then you implement the detail. So, and that in art is the rendering process. So I think there's so many similarities. It's very strategic. You have to look at the big picture and then go into the detail.
Would you recommend a colleague take it up?
Absolutely. It's changed the way that I actually think about things.
Veronica, on that note, we'll wrap up. I firstly just want to thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Brad. Thanks for having me.
And thank you to everyone who's tuned in. If you'd like this episode, then please do let us know. Feel free to share this as far and wide as you would like to, and please provide any comments that you might have. Otherwise, we look forward to seeing you next time on CIO Today.